the big picture, there is the San Francisco Bay, which is kind of shaped like my beer bottle. Not really. But at the top is San Francisco. Here is like Palo Alto Mountain View, and down here is San Jose. It's something like 80 miles long. And this is all startup land. In this city tends to be small consumer-oriented startups, not exclusively, but much more of the sort of Y Combinator crew, I call them. 2 to 5 person companies who are building like mobile apps, websites, stuff like that. And the Silicon Valley tends to be the large companies, the industrial research, and sort of the enterprise guys, folks who sell to the Fortune 1000 companies. And so there's a really big cultural difference. So we're actually an enterprise software company in the city, which is rather rare. But culturally, the city is more, creative, much more urban, much younger. In the valley, it tends to be sort of older, established, suburban folks.
I was really involved in Sydney, building up the tech scene with Silicon Beach, which is also another initiative that I created. And so I guess I can really contrast it because I've been intimately involved. And to be completely honest, it's like comparing primary school children to university students. It's just like I don't mean to say that in a dismissive way, but the caliber of the talent here specific to technology entrepreneurialism is just a whole mark above, and you don't really appreciate that until you come here and you meet the people that actually have been here, and you get to know them and you hang out with them. It's sort of like whenever I go back to Sydney, I see the contrast just based on the way people talk about things. Yeah. And it's not Australia's fault. It's just there's just so much more going on here, and people outside of Silicon Valley read blogs, and that's where they get all their knowledge. Whereas all the people here are discovering that knowledge 12 months before the blogs write about it.
One that we kind of leverage a lot is just the meetups. There's a lot of these meetups where fellow entrepreneurs and fellow startups and angel investors kind of come together and just rally around the entrepreneurial spirit. And we really, we take advantage of these, and you build your network around these, and you just sit and you talk about the challenges, the successes, the ups, the downs, and you really just have a good time, and you are able to relate with people that are going through the same struggles that you're going through, and that's so important.
In the past 5 years or so, a lot of accelerators have popped up in the city, and that model, I think, has become a little bit more widely subscribed to. And in addition to that, co-working space as well. So anything from Dogpatch Labs to IO Ventures over in the Mission, groups like that, I think, provide space, resources, whether it's mentorship or actual services and so forth. I think there's a lot of individuals who say they, founded a company or they run a startup or whatever it might be, and oftentimes it seems like a lot of that is noise, and noise in the sense that they might be working on something, but it's very much project based, and so I kind of take when I hear someone has a company, I take it, with a grain of salt, feel like, more often than not, you meet someone, oh yeah, I founded a company or I started a company, and you kind of look deeper, underneath the surface, and it really looks more like a project, which is totally cool, right? Because, projects turn into companies sometimes, right? So, I think I think people are kind of sobering up a little bit more these days about sort of what it means to be a founder of a company and a project starter.
Sort of looking in from the outside lens, it's really important to realize that if you have a solid, provable, repeatable idea, just because it doesn't seem trendy or TechCrunch worthy does not make it invalid. The opportunity here is just massive and limitless, and you're really only constrained by the amount of effort you're willing to put in.
There's so much associated with tech in San Francisco, and rightfully so. But I think that I was surprised by how much of an entrepreneurial spirit there is outside of tech in San Francisco. There's a lot of people that I've met that have startups or are entrepreneurs in an industry other than tech. And so I think that how tech-oriented San Francisco is not exactly true. I mean, you do have Twitter and Craigslist and all those companies based out of San Francisco, but you also have a lot of other industries represented in San Francisco.
20% of the rental units in San Francisco are actually vacant, and yet this has got some of the highest rental prices in the entire country. And the reason is because of rent control. This law that is good in intent, but is actually really stupid because you can't kick people out, which is meant to protect the tenant. But the more I've been actually looking into this, I kind of realise it's really harming the city. And so, as an example of that, 20% of the city's properties that would be available to live in are not being rented out because landlords want to control their asset. And so I think the city needs to sort of rethink about a lot of these laws and needs to change the zoning to make it more, the zoning here, there's a big fight going on between the new industry, which is like startups, and old industry.
I would say it is extremely inwardly focused. People don't understand here that when they build products, they're building it for the world and not just for the companies that show up on TechCrunch. I can't tell you how many startups I've seen that will never ever leave San Francisco. Like, you go to any restaurant here and there's probably like 10 different iPhone apps that you can use to sign up for like a coupon at that restaurant or something. And that's never going to see widespread adoption in places like Albuquerque, because so many companies are so focused on the perception of reality as it is in the Valley, where being a TechCrunch matters when it really doesn't. Where throwing a great party at South by Southwest will be remembered when it really won't. And it's been really damaging because you've seen Color, for example, raised $40 million from Sequoia, blew through it all and got acquired. Well, not through it all. I guess blew through 20 million or so. Got acquired by Apple for 5 or 10 million. And everybody in the Valley thought the app was going to be fantastic and it was going to change the world, but really it turned out to be a slightly better Instagram with somewhat better networking, I guess. I don't even know. But the sort of incestuous crosstalk here is so pervasive that it's really, really hard to get out of it. And that affects every part of the industry, even in Silicon Valley, where you can see these big trends come and go.
One thing is the workspace boom. There's been so many new offices opening up for the shared workspace, and the meetups also. I think part of Eventbrite's success is partly due to the amount of meetups in San Francisco and the amount of money people are willing to put into become part of these communities. I see it being very, very communal. I see, housing set up strictly around entrepreneurship and really, people making significant life changes to be around entrepreneurs. I mean, we're looking for an entrepreneurial roommate right now, but I could absolutely see, entire apartment complexes being rented out. There's a shared workspace that's called Startup House that's kind of about bringing in entrepreneurs that not only work together but live together. And I think that is part of where it's headed.
You'll see more, doubling down on accelerators and communities with, that have structure to them, and real purpose that's, spelled out and applied. And I think we'll see a much more widely adopted point of view on sort of the validity of these types of programs and how they, fuel innovation, not just locally but also globally.
Thank you. I thought you were gonna like slow and like cut in front of me.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching the Leeap project. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Now remember, if you would like to see any more information or extra bonus footage that we shot during the trip, hop onto our website. And I'll catch you next week when we head to Seattle to check out what their startup scene looks like.